What's going on, everybody? Andre here. So it's been about a month since the 10th anniversary broadcast where Behavior showed off the 2026 roadmap and revealed Terrifier coming to the game in November. Still looking forward to all the other content that's coming out before that, but for me, knowing that Art the Clown is showing up later this year, that's the most hyped thing for me, honestly. I can't wait. It's a given that this is a character the community's been asking for a while, but I can understand those in the community who wouldn't want this chapter to happen, as we already have two clowns in the game. The Clown and me. Anyway, since the chapter is a bit away, just for fun, I'm going to try to predict to the best of my ability how Art the Clown might be designed for Dead by Daylight based on how they follow licensed killers' source material in the past. Keep in mind, obviously I'm no expert at this game. I will probably make mistakes here and there, so my guesses, my opinions, are just here for the goofs, just for laughs. I'm a big fan of horror movies and the genre as a whole, and speculating on how DbD adapts these properties. So even though, speculation's completely out of the window for this one, it was kind of like just revealed. We don't have any clues as to what his power and abilities are going to be, so there. So before we start looking at how Art translates into DbD, we got to look no further than the Terrifier movies themselves for who Art is as a character, how Art terrorizes his victims, and what kind of weapons he uses. So just a quick summary of old Art here in case you haven't seen the Terrifier movies. Art the Clown is a serial killer that targets young women and anybody in his way of doing so, and tortures them in an almost ritualistic fashion. He wants to make them suffer the most that he can before taking them out, and after being apprehended by the police at the end of the first film, he decides to take himself out to pasture, so to speak. Shortly after his body arrives at the morgue, he comes back to life, no longer as a human being, but as a malevolent force with backing from hell. He still has the appearance of a human, but he's essentially an immortal demon spawn now, I guess. So, Art the Clown is an unpredictable wild card type of killer. He does the fucked up things he does for no reason, just for the love of the game. He enjoys the lead up to his encounters, that chase, and the torture. And he seems to choose his weapons at random, which really adds to his unpredictability factor. So let's take what we know and try to predict what kind of weapon and ability he would have in the game. So for his base weapon, or the one for basic attacks, I think he's just going to have like a small bladed weapon like a scalpel or a box cutter. Art isn't known to carry around the same weapon all the time, but when Art is coming at you and he's carrying this tiny little scalpel blade, make no mistake, he intends on making it personal and you might get the worst of it. It just fits. Now, for his power, in the films, Art always is carrying around this black garbage bag filled with different weapons and tools. He always seems to have just the right tool for the job in that bag when he isn't just helping himself to whatever is in his victim's house. So I feel Art's power will be the ability to go into his trash bag and pull out a different random weapon that can give him more range or like a temporary advantage in a chase. Or it might be a Vecna situation where he can select from a wheel of available weapons. One of those weapons could be the table leg mace, which is a table leg that Art affixed with razor blades. There's like a fork on there, screws, nails, other sharp shit. Maybe the table leg mace could inflict broken or some kind of a status effect. Another one he might bring in is the hair flail. In the films, he has this flail, I guess is the best way to put it, that he's made out of hair of his victims with these little blades at the end, so it's like a multi-ended whip with blades made out of hair. So I'm thinking maybe because of all the cuts and bleeding, maybe something with hemorrhage? If not, possibly a little whip attack that can go over pallets and certain objects and loops with a limited range. I don't know. It could be cool. He does use an axe at one point or another, so maybe he can get like a Myers-style lunge where he has to hold up the axe and charge up his swing. There's a lot he could bring in. Hell, he even had like a little handheld flamethrower. We got the flames from the alien turrets. That could be cycled into that somehow. It'd be crazy if he could set people on fire mid-match. That'd be hilarious. A chainsaw? Maybe. I mean, he does use a chainsaw at one point. There might be too many chainsaws in this game, but maybe has the same insta-down as other chainsaws, but it's like a super short window. I don't know. It might make him too busted. I'm not sure. But one thing I'm almost certain of is that Art is getting a Glock. Whoa there, Andre. You really think Behavior is going to put a Glock in the game? They'd never do that. Well, for those who do not know, one of Art the Clown's many tricks in the movies is Force Multiplier no Jutsu. When he feels like it, he will stop fucking around altogether, pull a Glock out, and just shoot somebody. I feel like it should take the same amount of luck to get a Kobe, so like a 4% chance. You only get one shot, but put survivors in the dying state. I feel like it wouldn't make any sense to give Art like a supernatural movement ability of any kind, like teleporting or phasing out like Spirit, because even though he was brought back by demonic forces multiple times, he still has to ride the bus, okay? He has shown multiple times needing public transportation to get around, so I don't think he's the type to be able to do that. He still has to walk around like the rest of us. As far as a supernatural power, I don't know how his demonic stuff could be conveyed in game other than like a hex totem. There's the ways he comes back to life in the movies and in the context of the game, and how the killer is the one inflicting damage and it's never the other way around. I don't think we're ever going to see anything like that. Another part of his toolkit that we cannot forget about that I feel he will have day one is a honk button. I think when you load into the match, right next to your little power at the bottom, there's going to be another little button that just says honk. If you can endlessly honk at people while torturing them, that's just the full Art the Clown experience. Now I know this sounds like the perfect tool for people who want to troll, but we already have Wraith's Bell, and if people are going to troll, they're going to find a way to do it regardless, so I don't think it would be a big issue. Now, we're on to the part of the video that really gets into the I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about territory, the perks. I don't really think anyone can predict what perks a killer is going to come out with, as they can be literally anything, but I'm going to try my best to stay in theme with Art and the movies. So the first perk I came up with is punctuality. After hooking a survivor, all survivors within 24, 28, 32 meters scream and reveal their location for 3 seconds. Survivors who were healing or repairing when they scream suffer from incapacitated for 8 seconds. So this next one is very similar to another perk, but it has a twist to it, so hear me out on this one. Hex Cruel Entertainment. At the start of the trial, a dull totem becomes a hex totem and curses the generator furthest from you. When a survivor repairs the cursed generator for at least 5 seconds, your terror radius is projected from the generator instead of you. You gain the undetectable status effect, and while this effect is active, the projected terror radius becomes louder the farther you are from the cursed generator. The projected terror radius becomes quieter the closer you are to it. When the cursed generator is completed, the next furthest generator becomes cursed. This hex remains active until its hex totem is cleansed or blessed. Standing Ovation. After hooking your obsession, Standing Ovation activates. Your next basic attack on a survivor applies the Deep Wound status effect. While affected by Deep Wound from this perk, progression of healing does not pause while running. Standing Ovation then goes on cooldown for 60 seconds. Alright, now that the hard part's over, let's talk about his Mori. Yeah, this is Art the Clown we're talking about here, so his Mori is probably going to be batshit insane. Art really leans into the torture stuff. If you've seen Terrifier 2, the Salt Room scene, Jesus, I have seen the chainsaw balls scene from the third one. Don't think I have to elaborate on that. But in my opinion, the Salt Room scene from Terrifier 2 is far worse to watch. It's basically a torture session that shows everything. Keeps it on screen with long lingering shots, and it really drives home the point that when left to his devices on a victim with no chance of escape, he is going to hurt them badly 13 different ways from Sunday, remove parts and pieces that will not be put back on, and somehow you're still alive through it all, so he's just gonna keep going. So I feel Art's Mori will take heavy inspiration from that scene, and since I can't go all out with the wording on what I think will go down, I've prepared a YouTube-friendly version of the events in the Mori. So first, he starts by restructuring the survivor's mobility options. Let's just say he makes them a part-time walker. Then he's probably going to relieve some built-up pressure using a small pointed object multiple times. Then he'll give said survivor a facelift, so to speak. Then he will pour salt and bleach all over them and bash them over the head. As far as cosmetics, the flower glasses as a solo headpiece, Santa art suit. Bam! So, those are my predictions for how Art the Clown will be in Dead by Daylight. Once again, this was just for fun. I'm no expert at this game, at game balance or game design. Just wanting to try out a video like this where I'm predicting how a killer might be for the game. Maybe in the future make more power concepts for, killers that aren't in the game yet. I've already got a couple ideas for Christine and the Thing, just to give you a good idea of what I've been thinking about. I don't know. Anyway, I'm wrapping it up here. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to see more, go check out the channel. I play horror games and ASIM horror games. New video every Wednesday. If you enjoyed the video, click the disembodied hand with its thumb up button. Subscribe if cool. Catch you later. Bye.